First, thank you to the Foundation Bremen to invite me to Ljubljana. That's the first time I come to Slovenia. I've been many times in many countries in Europe, but Slovenia, that's the first time. I'm very happy to be there. I think that the works we have seen yesterday for the jury were very interesting. I'm very impressed by the quality of the works we have seen for such a little country, 2 million of inhabitants. It's extraordinary for us. I must maybe introduce a little bit myself, because I'm not really a graphic designer. No, it's a joke, but I'm not a graphic designer, I say, because I was educated at the Fine Arts Academy in Paris. I was a student at the École des Beaux-Arts, and I was learning painting, a little bit photography, and at the same time I played music in a band. So when I got my diploma from the Fine Arts Academy, I had a real problem with what to do. Making painting, playing music, making photography, taking photography. And I had a trip to Czechoslovakia, former Czechoslovakia, in '77. I went to Prague. It was very difficult to get the visa, but I went there. It was, as you could imagine, very complicated and very, very strange. There were no tourists. The Czech were not allowed to speak to the foreigners, but the city was absolutely incredible, magic, all in gray, under the snow. It was in winter time, it was for Christmas. And, you know, at that period in France, the graphic design was mainly advertising. That was publicity and advertising posters with hyper-realism style. And suddenly in Prague, I discovered the posters from the Czechs, and they were totally different from the Western Occidental style. I was totally amazed by that. I went to a small theater to buy one of them, which is called Laterna Magica, which was an incredible show with theater, video, films, music, puppets. It was avant-garde in '77, I was 20, and that was for me maybe the beginning of my career. And then I tried to be a poster designer, I tried to be illustrator, I tried to be graphic designer. I went to magazines to be a graphic designer, to learn a little bit about design, about typography, and in '81 I was selected among a lot of people to be graphic designer in a very big cultural center close to Paris. That was really the beginning of my career. I was 25. Could you imagine? I was responsible at 25 of the communication of one of the biggest places in France. That was totally amazing for me. I worked a lot, night and days and all the weekends, to make the posters, to make invitation cards, magazines, brochure, catalogs, everything. I was totally, you know, I was really in a job. And after that, I've got a lot of clients in the cultural field. So people from France, people from other countries, mainly festivals, theaters, operas. So I work for dance, for music, and so on. So that's where I'm going to, okay? Yes. So this is my studio. We are actually 5 people. I'm working with graphic designers. So we make the visual communication for a lot of cultural places, festival. So this is a place, this studio is located in the center of Paris, near the Place de la Bastille, the French Revolution Square. That was some of my first posters, not my first, but at that period where when I worked to this cultural center I told you about, I was very interested to change typography because I was not, as was not educated as a graphic designer. I tried something else. I think I had some memories of my painting years. Yeah, strange. So this one, Las Bodas de Figaro, was an order from the opera of Montevideo in Uruguay. And, they refused the poster at the beginning because they said, yeah, it's a bit scandalous, that the wedding dress and this object, and then they accepted the poster. I worked with a very important national theater in the south of France, and at that period I was very involved in photographic posters, and which was very important for me was to have as I could a very strong concept, and the same thing to have different meanings in a poster, like you can see there. This is the coffee, and you see this is the coast of the western part of France. This is Brittany. You can see Paris is there, Brest and Nantes are over there. This one was very important. That was the first theater play with only black comedians on stage. That was the opening of the very famous Festival of Theater in Avignon. And we took a picture of the main actor with those chess game that we cut to make like a crowd. This one was a bit older, but very important for me because it's a history of, the war the French made in Algeria. So this is a portrait of a young Algerian girl taken by a French photographer, Solier. This is This one is a new one. It's for Leonardo. It's a festival of photography, and the two meanings, the two topics were, feeding the planet, and at the same time, the invited country was Italy. So I mixed the Fiat 500 with the bread. This one was the last period I used really painting. For this poster I made for a festival of music about organs. That was a homage to Cassandre, who was a very famous poster artist in France that just changed the chimneys in the tubes of the organs. Yes, I work, for an opera which is close to Paris. This opera is incredible. It's located in a city at 20 kilometers from Paris, which is a suburb surrounded by very poor buildings. So the idea is to attract, popular people, and at the same time, those people who go very often to opera. So you can see on the left, every time I have a poster to make, I make the sketches, about 12 or 14 or sometimes 20 different ideas that I show to my client. And then you can see on the top, the first one was selected, and the idea was to create a real graphic design identity with the logotype of the opera, with the whole like a K note. And the type, which is the Los Feliz from the Emigre Fonts from California. And the problem what we have in France is that we have a lot of logotypes. So the idea was just to put the logotypes below in the poster. For this one, had two different operas, Boris Godunov and Lady Macbeth. So my idea was to celebrate Russia through Saint Basil, you know, the castle wall, which is on the Red Square in Moscow. For Madame Butterfly, which is a very famous opera from Puccini, the idea was to tell about, you know, the misery of Madame Butterfly, who is in love with an American captain, an American soldier, and he left her for an American lady. So you can see this is just like the Japanese flag with the moon. Yeah, this is for the people who are a little bit like Ljubljana, the buildings. It's in Prague, that's the Wenceslas Square. And the idea, you know, for me was to have a very strong image in the front, and then in the background, like some history about the place where the opera is. So this is Prague. We can see maybe for Turandot. This is interesting because my clients, you know, we discuss about the sketches, and for example, my favorite was this one. You know, this terrible thing we had for the kings in France. And my client, the director of the opera said, no, Michel, it would be too violent, so we should use something else. I was not very sure about that, but at the end, I think we made the good choice. So, because Turandot is in China, you can see the pagans, the Chinese pagans. For Così fan tutte, it's always a homage to Italia, because most of the operas are Italian, so inspired by Italy. This is, you can see, this is the Bay of Napoli behind. So every time it's, you know, for me, which is interesting, is to attract people who don't want to get to the opera, For Faust, I made a lot of Faust. Faust is very often a topic for posters. And you can see this, you know, the Baviera houses. You can see all the sketches. It takes a long time, you know, because we'll see after the real process of Cinderella. It's a joke because, you know, in Paris, we have Euro Disney, Disneyland Paris. And most of the people, the tourists, they don't go to Paris, they just go to see this castle and everything in Euro Disney, which is 50 kilometers from Paris. They never go to see the Eiffel Tower. So I had, that was very interesting for me because it's posters for children, theater for children. So there are two reasons that I tried to be very, very strict in my design. Was I have to be very clear because you know, the children between 6 or 5 and 10 or 12, and then there are small posters, and these small posters are in the schools or in the libraries or in the place where there are a lot of posters around. So I have to be very clear. So there are some very classic theater plays like Molière, you know, two versions of Le Médecin Malgré Lui. That was interesting because the reaction of the children were very good. They understood very well the way the posters were made, and you know, which was very complicated for me was to select all the types, all the texts, and to be in the same behavior, the same thing for every poster. This one I like especially because it's the combination of two ideas, Mozart and the piano, and 89, the French Revolution. So you can see this is just like the French Revolution, revolutionary hat with the colors of the French flag. I used to work since 92, which is absolutely incredible, with theater, which is very close to Paris and now considered as one of the best theaters in Parizu in France. At the beginning, I was making posters with color photography, but at one time I considered that color photography was a little bit confused with all the advertising posters around, and many graphic designers used the color photography like me in the poster. So we decided to change and to use black and white photography. So, which is very important, it's not black and white, it's black and gray, it's a Pantone gray. So for 1 year, we tried to get the good gray to mix with the black. I just tell you that I work with a fantastic photographer since my beginning, so that's not my photo. And this one, for example, is interesting because it's a mixing of, I like that when the image and the text are mixing, so you can see just like a knife in this earth of glass. Another Faust, Faust, I think I made about 4 or 5 different Fausts. This is, I didn't know that the devil is like a black angel. So I made the poster without knowing that, this things on his head was making like a black angel. So this one was, I got problem with censorship. It was considered like provocative because it's a story of, the confrontation between men and women. That's Shakespeare play, and this, it looks like you can understand. And so the co-production was very complicated, but the Theatre Légimo tried to publish. This one got the censorship in France. During 1 week, this poster was forbidden because people saw that it was propaganda for the Nazi, but it's absolutely the opposite. That's the history of the collaboration of some of the French people with the Nazi during the Second World War. So you can see the gun, the Nazi symbol, but which is important is that the map of France, which is behind. And after that, the poster was everywhere in Paris, and nobody put any graffiti on it. Boris Godunov, when two scorpions are together, one must die. So this is a story of a Tsar and the man who wants to be Tsar instead of him. In Paris, it's sometimes raining, and which is important is to know if the poster could work in the city. This one, which is a story of the same story seen by 4 people in 4 books. So it's just like this game with only 4 on the 3 sides. We made 3 pictures for that. 2 others, this one on the right about Tolstoy. Yeah, for Crime and Punishment of Dostoevsky, I read the 800 pages of the book, and I tried to mix in this metaphor, the jail, the punishment, and the crime with this object. You can see all the propositions I made for that. It took a long time for that. The one who was very important at that period was this one. With El Dorado and with the sound of the title. For me, every title has a sound. And I changed, the type. So because I'm not a graphic designer, as I said, I could be free sometime, and I like to, make things with a type which is absolutely forbidden in many schools, I think. So it's not a good example. El Dorado, it's just like a nightmare. It begins like pleasure with ice cream, and at the end, it's a cactus. I love the cactus, you'll see that. Another Shakespeare. For Hamlet, you see the real process of the work. So this is the beginning of my process. I use a sheet of paper, A4, and you can see all the ideas on the right, and some of the drawings I make on the left, and see if it's working or not. This is the sketches for the client. So we decided to make the Ash of Hamlet because of the castle in Denmark, and I made a map or a plan for the construction of iron ash. So this is the ash, which is 35 kilograms and about 40 centimeters of high. So in Paris, the column Morris in Paris, we have a lot. That's very important. And if your poster works or not, because somebody says, oh, yes, I love your poster, and sometimes they don't say anything, and you say, okay. I missed. So this is the second Hamlet. Sometimes I have 2 times, 3 times to make something else, the same topic, and just tell you, I get to the butcher and I ask for bones, and they give me bones like this, but very, very fat. And I say, no, that's not working. And I went back home and I took 2 bones of chicken, I boiled them 2 hours, and we take the pictures. And which is strange that in the street people think that this is, Diplodocus bones in the streets. And Henry VI, I made a lot of posters. This one was, wow. When we made that, I thought, oof. Richard II was like a king crucified. So I thought about that, and I thought, what could be possible in Paris? So that was very strange, because the poster was in the streets and in the metro, and nobody made any graffiti on it, because maybe I was really respectful for the Catholic religion at the same time. Othello, for me, it's one like El Dorado, an important poster, because Othello is a black soldier among soldiers of white people. And if you remember in '68 in Mexico, the black athletes, they wear a glove like this to say, we need human rights for black and white people in America. So we made that poster, which is maybe for me like a political poster. Macbeth, sometimes I don't like to make any metaphor. And you know that the black crow, it's just the bird which announce, the death. So I bought a real crow like this. Other posters, I made about maybe 70 or 80 different posters for this one is very strange. This is canard sauvage, it means a wild duck. So this is the way I make my posters. Yeah. And my client decided to take that. And I said to my client, you are totally crazy. Could you imagine a black and white photography? We have an incredible people, defending the animals in France, like Brigitte Bardot, like a lot of people. They say, for the first time, I refused to make one of my sketches. I don't know why I did that anyway. I was a bit, I don't know. Maybe they say, oh yes, we can do that. And I say, but you're just crazy, 4 ducks like this, like a souvlaki. No. So we made a very quiet duck. But could you imagine, we take the picture and you see behind there 8 ants, ending a very frightened duck like this. So this is interesting. When you make a poster with a lot of white in the metro in Paris, you can imagine the situation. So now I only make posters with a lot of black. Who is afraid of Virginia Woolf, the very famous movie, Berlin Theater? Yeah. Cyrano de Bergerac, maybe you know the story, and it's always the nose, Gérard Depardieu, the nose and everything. And I tried to make something else. There is only one nose you can see in my sketches, but I think we choose the good solution. Ubu Roi, Ubu is an incredible king of Poland, and it's a French book, but they eat a lot, and so I tried. I'm not a graphic designer, as I said, so I tried to make the Ubu Roi the title with sausage, but the rest of the title was very classic, very chic. In the street, Henry VI, the Prince of Hamburg. Another measure for measure, you remember the sex of the woman. The last one, a little bit like Hamlet, the King Lear. I used to ask to the same fabric to make this incredible L in iron. You can see all the sketches here, it's a woof. And the King Lear is a very complicated text. For the Rencontres d'art, which is one of the biggest, maybe the biggest festival of photography in the world, they asked me to make all the communication. And I had the idea not to use photography as a medium or photography among the photographies in the festival. So the first one was homage to Malevich, like chili yellow on a yellow background. So this is always my way of searching ideas. This is a sketch at the beginning, which is sketches. I'm not very good drawer. When I was at Fine Arts Academy, I was among the worst, for drawing. But anyway, I tried to be better the last years. So, no, sorry. I have to be quiet. Sorry. Well. Anyway, so we decided to, yes. Yeah, you can, yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, so I made 100 drawing like this, it's A3, with a painting, which is interesting that at the beginning you are very, very shy. Don't try. At the end, it's just automatic. And that's that period that is very good. So we decided with the P, and then the lemon. And people say, well, it's very strange. Why do they use that for photography festival? But, which was very curious, that most of the magazines around the world, they say, that was terrible for me, because they say, they asked to the director and they say, I didn't ask for the program or the art director. They just say, what's the food or the vegetable for the next year? Which was, it was incredible. So we had to keep secret, all the drawing. The eggplant, good for Provence, south of France. Yes, the carrot, with a lot of versions on the walls of artists, like graffiti, or sex graffiti and everything. Yeah. So the catalogs, they are very 500 pages. And for, in the edition of photography, it's just like ovni, something which comes from nowhere. But they were very successful, and you can see the Arles on the cover. You'll see after the other ones. We decided to create a typography, the Arlesian bold for Arles, for the city, and aubergine, the eggplant, for the 2005. In 2007, we decided to change and to introduce animals in the festival. So the cat was the beginner. This cat, which is, punk, or I don't know, very, very strange human cat, because I drew very bad. For Christian Lacroix, who is a very famous fashion designer, I asked him, do you want to be, I don't know, a goat, a lion? And he said, no, I'm not a tiger, I'm not violent. I'm just a bird. And so he chose the cazoar. But this is a cazoar from New Guinea. And everybody say the chicken, the duck, everything. So they miss every time, the names of like this, they say giraffe, it's antelope, and everything. So it's, every time it was, so I made, at the end, I think I made about 300 different sketches for ours. This one is incredible, rhinoceros. So the colors are different, for sure. So this is a bit confusing for people. One of my best friends, who is a photographer, asked me, called me on the phone, and he said, oh, Michel, I love your last poster for Harles. I say, oh, your hippopotamus is fantastic. So, so the mistake is thought as absolute. The cow, not the cow, the zebu. Anyway, yeah, this is another one. I love this one. Sometimes I love better, anyway. Sometimes it's, yeah. The swan, everybody said the duck. Sure. Black and white, yes. It's terrible, terrible. But we loved about that. And in last year, that was, yeah, for us, the director decided to go, and me too. And so we decided to make a poster like a parade with all the vegetables, the fruits, and the animals. So it's a very heavy file, you can imagine. So this is in a situation, the type and the drawings in the streets of Arles. And in the festival, they painted, they decided, that's not me who painted that. It's a student of the Fine Arts Academy in Nîmes, in the south of France, who made it. It's really perfect. I think it's really a good painting. And which was incredible. Yeah, they made, every year, they made an animal, which is 400 kilograms. And everybody's taking a picture with the girlfriend, with the child, blah, blah, blah. But it was in the afternoon, and the day after, the rhinoceros was in the fountain. So, which was incredible. During three months, the rhinoceros went in every part of the city. I don't know where, I don't know why, and don't know who made it, but anyway, that was very funny. So we made some tattoos for the children, sorry, and yeah. So, some very quick pictures. This is the first picture I took in Prague in '77, on the left, New York. Photography is very important for me because during all the travels I made in my life, I've been to Albania, I've been to South Africa when the government changed from de Klerk to Mandela. Tallinn, Estonia, that was a block of stones for the Russian army, against the Russian army. So sometimes some of the trips were a little bit dangerous. Yeah, some. Ooh. Yeah, this is the good one. This is Valparaiso in Chile. Mexico, which is very interesting because the poster in Mexico, sometimes it is a wall. They just paint the wall in white and then they put another thing. This is Cuba, this is Paraguay. This is Bolivia. This is the propaganda for Chavez in Venezuela. A very, very, very dangerous country. Japan, Korea, Colombia, Ecuador. Ecuador is an incredible country where you can find, I talked to some of my friends today, that they rebuild the alphabets, the classical alphabets, and they make vernacular typography. This is very interesting. São Paulo, the Corinthians stadium where Pelé began to play football, and this is Buenos Aires in the below. Shanghai, Taiwan, Tokyo, Australia, up, and this is a wedding in Chicago. I was driving with a friend, and I took the picture, and you see the ladies are very, they're nice, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. But look at the men, they look like mafia people. and I said to my friend, well, we should escape very quickly. Laponia, and Finland and Norway. Yeah, my dream is a little cabin in Canada, And here, Ireland. Well, to finish, some posters I made for Seattle and Paris. If the machine would like, yes. It goes very fast sometimes. Try to, anyway. This one, it's war, love, and sausage. So this is very simple to understand. Shits, like shit in English, but it's Israeli Seattle play. In the street in Paris, it was interesting because I used for these posters 5 different colors. It's not quadrichromy, it's 5 colors made by hand with a silkscreen printer. For the clowns. I like to make some posters very, very strong, very fresh, because the competition for posters in Paris is incredible. There are so many posters. So I have 2 cats, one in black and white and one in color. So that's homage to my cats at home. And in the streets of Paris, which is interesting when the weather is especially in winter, very, very gray and very cold, the colors must be very bright. So this one was just like a joke, That's a story of a man, and he's like a valet, and he has a boss, and they talk about sex all the time. So the people came to the theater and they say, this is very strange, those mushrooms, because the one on the right is very, very, very curious. And I say, yeah, but it's only mushrooms like in the nature. So you can see, in the metro in Paris. So people call the theater and they say, ooh, this is very curious, So sometimes I like to make jokes, I'd like to make jokes through my posters. Yes, and sometimes I'm very lucky, all the corridor of the metro is full of my posters, which is incredible. It's just like foolish. They pay a lot for that, It's a lot of money. So you can see all the sketches. Every time this is an absurd theater play. You can see the table only with 3 legs, and one of the legs needs something, a stone to be on the 3 legs. The end of the world is for Sunday. You can imagine, it's a foolish theater play. Yeah, this one was in Paris. Oof. It's Virginie Despentes. It's a really feminist text, and when we made that, we saw that it could be scandalous. Yeah, people could be very ashamed at that, but in a way, you know, in Paris it works. This one, The Pleasure, was one of my most successful posters for the audience in Paris. I don't know why. Maybe because pleasure is something which is interesting for everybody. You know? So this is in the streets. Yeah, the game of love and chance. So you can see, you know, it looks like I don't know the name, just like, you know, the symbol of an island, but in red. The Belgian fish, and yeah. To finish, some posters I made for a very important place in Marseille, in the south of France, the second city of France. I tried to attract people to a very large place, which was a fabric for cigarettes, and now it's a place where there are a lot of activities. Yeah, you can see that sometimes your work is among a lot of things. You know, people like to express themselves. So this is, the size of the. It's not a poster. It's the size is bigger. To celebrate Berlin at the Fridge, which is the name of the. You can see the beer, the symbol of Berlin. This is not posters. I make covers for a magazine of cinema. For films in Marseille, and I decided to be only based on illustration and not on photography. This is about Portugal, you know. This is it's called the Tales of blah blah. I don't remember. Anyway, sometimes for me it's very strange because I like to make some homage to poster artists, or sometimes artists like Liechtenstein or Andy Warhol. It's very pop art. This one was the cover and the poster for the. We asked people from all over the world to send drawing or posters. You know, when Charlie, the attempt in Paris, the people were murdered in last January. So we made a book and a poster for that. So the problem for me was I seen all the posters from all around the world, and I had to find a new idea to celebrate, like an image to Charlie and all the Charlie Hebdo. Some festival of music. Yeah, when I went back from Australia, I wanted to make a poster with the Australian Aborigine style. And I don't know if it is successful. This is the posters I make for my exhibition. So French was at the JJJ Gallery in Tokyo. You can see some images. You can see that in Tokyo, the way they make exhibitions are absolutely incredible. You can see all the drawings, the sketches on the tables. This is a collection of books about philosophy. So I try sometimes to change the codes and not to only be very serious. I made, last year, I had about 100 different drawings about Paris. This is a book which is called Paris by Michel Bouvet. This is a black cat with the Eiffel Tower. It's for children. It was a big, big job. This is a poster for a rap musician for a big festival in Paris. Joey Badass, maybe you would know him. It's the way that he looks to Manhattan from Brooklyn Bridge. Shakespeare, poster about the poster about Shakespeare. For in Australia, they asked me for the Congress to make a poster about Australia. That was very dangerous for me because I used the kangaroo, and I thought that maybe that was too much for them. But because of a lot of people killed, the kangaroos, they love the poster. Yeah, this is like a joke, for the International Biennale of Posters in Mexico. Oh, sorry. Yes, this one was for a festival of posters in Denmark. You can see the homage to the Velvet Underground, the incredible cover of Andy Warhol, and the banana is becoming a poster. I love to make homages to the masters of art. And just for the end, the homage to Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, for the anniversary of the death of Frida. And for me, Frida and Diego, it's just like a couple, like an artist and couple in life. Thank you very much.